Stop looking at those generic mock drafts that have the Rams picking a bust, because the 13th overall pick is the most pivotal moment in this franchise's history in years. If the front office gets this wrong, we are looking at a total disaster for the upcoming season. But if they hit it right, we are talking about a Super Bowl window that blows wide open. I have spent countless hours breaking down the tape, looking at every single metric, and debating the schemes, and I have finalized my master draft board. We aren't just looking for talent. We are looking for a complete overhaul of our offensive DNA. The names I am about to give you are the difference between mediocrity and absolute dominance. Before we dive into the names that will save our season, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. Let's be clear about one thing before we get into the meat of this list. We are not talking about edge rushers today. Forget about players like Arl Reese, Reuben Bain, or David Bailey. I know every fan wants a dominant pass rusher, but let's be realistic. Those guys are gone before we even sniff the podium. They are top 4 locks. I have stripped them off this list because I want to give you guys a real, grounded view of who we can actually land, even if it requires us to be aggressive and trade up to get them. We are hunting for impact, not pipe dreams. The first 2 candidates I am bringing to you are the ones that keep me up at night. These are the guys who would turn our offense into an absolute machine. I am talking about Jeremiah Love and Carnell Tate. I am revealing them together because if the team decides to pull the trigger on a trade up the board, it has to be for one of these two. Let's start with Jeremiah Love. I do not say this lightly. I grew up watching Todd Gurley in his prime, and I know exactly what a generational running back looks like in a Rams uniform. Jeremiah Love could be that guy. He is, without a doubt, the most talented player in this entire draft class. We are talking about pure, unadulterated explosiveness. This kid operates in a phone booth like I have never seen before. His spin moves are violent, his jukes are lethal, and he has this uncanny ability to flow through defenders like water. You rarely see him go down on first contact. He is a nightmare for opposing defenses. The only knock, maybe his blitz recognition as a pass blocker. But come on, look at the ceiling here. He is a mismatched nightmare in the receiving game, too. If we draft him, the landscape of our backfield changes instantly. But, and here is the kicker, this move comes with a heavy price tag. If we go out and grab Love, it likely means we have to move on from Kyren Williams. I know, it hurts just to say it. Kyren is a fan favorite, a hard worker, and a solid contributor. But if we are being cold and calculated about building a championship-caliber team, you have to look at the market. I talk to people around the league, and the consensus is that if we put Kyren on the block, we could easily fetch a third-round pick in return. That is a hard asset to turn down, especially when we are missing picks due to previous trades. Trading Kyren saves us significant cap space, which we could immediately pivot into keeping our core veterans happy. It is a ruthless business, but this is what happens when you want to reach the top. But wait, what if we don't want to blow up the backfield? What if we want to keep the current core intact while adding a game changer? That is where Carnell Tate enters the conversation. Carnell Tate is my undisputed number 1 wide receiver. He is built for the modern NFL. He has the height, the length, and the hands. This guy catches everything. He understands leverage. He knows how to create separation, and he plays with a level of maturity that is rare for a college kid. He is the seamless replacement for Davante Adams. He fits the mold perfectly. He is not a burner, and he is not going to rely on raw speed to win, but he wins with technique and intelligence. I have heard the concerns about his production, but you have to watch the film closely. He was playing alongside the best receiver in the country last season. When you share the field with elite talent, your stats are going to be affected. But the flashes of greatness, they are there. If you want to keep Puka Nacua in the slot, which is where he thrives, then you need a guy like Tate on the outside. He allows our receivers to be interchangeable, moving them around to create mismatches. When you have 3 receivers on the field with that kind of skill set, you are essentially uncoverable. Now, I want to pose a question to you all. If we draft either of these two, are we officially the most dangerous offense in the league? Who do you think is the bigger priority, a game-changing running back or a dominant outside receiver? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now because I want to hear who you are pounding the table for. Now, let's talk about the next guy on my list. Number 3 is Mai Lemon, the wide receiver out of USC. If you have been following this channel, you know I have a bit of a love affair with his game. There is nobody we have talked about more. And I get the jokes. I see the comments. But there is a real, analytical reason why I am so high on him. Mai Lemon brings something that is incredibly rare, elite yards after the catch. You put him in a Sean McVay offense, and you give him the ball in space, and you are going to see fireworks. I know some of you are worried about his size. You hear, small receiver, and you get flashbacks to other players who didn't work out. But you are looking at the wrong comparison. Do not compare him to the speedsters who rely on running away from people. Compare him to the route runners who rely on nuance. He is much more like a Monterey St. Brown. His production last year was staggering. Over half of his total yardage came after he caught the ball. That is not luck, that is skill. He fights for every inch, he breaks tackles, and he has the vision to see the field when it gets chaotic. Pairing him with Puka and Devontae would create a nightmare scenario for any defensive coordinator in the NFL. We would have three guys who can eat up the middle of the field and turn 5-yard slants into 40-yard gains. Moving on to the fourth spot, we have to talk about a unique animal, tight end Kenyon Sadiq. If you saw our last live mock draft, you know I am obsessed with this guy. If the top receivers are gone, and Sadiq is sitting there at 13, you have to consider it. Do not misquote me here. I am not saying he is a generational tight end in terms of current polish, but I am saying he is a generational athlete at the position. Look at his measurables. 6 feet 3 inches, 245 pounds, and he moves like a wide receiver. He has a 9.99 relative athletic score. That is a one-of-one type of athlete. The production numbers might not scream superstar, but he was in a crowded offense with many mouths to feed. You bring a guy like that into our system, and you pair him with Terrence Ferguson. You are talking about the most dangerous tight end duo in the league. You put those two on the field with Puka and Devontae, and you are creating a formation that forces the defense to put their heavy personnel on the field, which allows you to run whatever you want. It changes the math of the game. However, drafting Sadiq puts a clock on the other tight ends in our room. The team will want to get him involved immediately. It is high pressure, but that is the cost of adding a weapon of that caliber. Now, we have to address the elephant in the room, Jordan Tyson, the receiver from Arizona State. If you are looking for the biggest boom or bust pick in this draft, this is your guy. If we were drafting purely based on talent and the film, Tyson would be my number 2 overall. He is that good. But the injury history, it is gut-wrenching. We are talking about a torn ACL, MCL, and PCL in a single event. I am not a doctor, but we all know that knee ligament injuries can become chronic. They weaken the structure, making them more prone to re-injury. Then he had a hamstring issue in 2025 and a broken collarbone. He has missed time in every single season of his college career. Can we afford to take that risk? We already have concerns about Puka's health. Puka is incredible, but he has struggled to stay on the field for a full season. If you combine Puka and Tyson, you are looking at 2 high-impact players who have had major trouble staying healthy. I don't know if I can get there. I don't know if this team can afford to have 2 of its top 3 pass catchers on the injury report every other week. It is a heartbreaking reality because, on the field, Tyson is a monster. He is tough, he has incredible hands, and he runs precise routes. But you cannot play the game if you are sitting on the training table. Let's quickly run through the final group, because these guys are vital depth and potential starters. 6th, we have Omar Cooper, the receiver out of Indiana. I have actually moved him up my board recently. Why? Because when you watch the tape, you see a guy who is willing to do the dirty work. He blocks. He is a fantastic YC threat, and he has that dog mentality. He might be smaller, but he plays like he is 10 feet tall. He brings special teams value, which is something this team desperately needs. Next up, we have Mansour Delane, the cornerback out of LSU. I have been struggling with the pronunciation, but I have got it now. Delane is an electric addition. You plug him in, and you instantly have a playmaker in the secondary. He and Caleb Downs are essentially 8A and 8B for me. If either of them is available at 13, you might just have to take the talent, regardless of positional need. Elite defenders are hard to find, and both of these guys have the potential to be Pro Bowlers. Finally, we have Francis Mauigoa. If the team decides they want to go offensive line with the first pick, this is the guy. He has the versatility to slide into guard, but he has the frame to stay at tackle. We all know we have pending free agents across our offensive line. We can't extend everyone. Mauigoa is like an eraser. You plug him in, and he fixes the issues. He stabilizes the unit. gives us consistency, and ensures that Matthew Stafford stays upright. We have covered a lot of ground today. We have looked at the high-reward trades, the injury gambles, and the solid, reliable prospects. The draft is not just about picking names off a list. It is about building a philosophy. But I want to know where you stand. I have given you my board, I have given you the analysis, and I have given you the tough truths about our roster. Now it is your turn. If you are the general manager, and you are sitting there at pick 13, and the board is wide open, who is the card you are turning in? Are you going for the explosive runner in Jeremiah Love? Are you taking the safe, pro-ready receiver in Carnell Tate? Or are you swinging for the fences with a guy like Kenyon Sadiq? Whatever you think, put it in the comments below. Let's get a debate going. I will be reading every single one of them. And don't go anywhere because tomorrow, we are back with a full 7-round mock draft. This is the big one. This is the final blueprint before we get to the actual draft day. You do not want to miss it, because we are going to break down every single pick, every single trade, and every single scenario that could unfold for us. We are building something special here. We are aiming for the top, and we need to be prepared for every single outcome. Stay tuned, stay engaged, and let's get ready for the draft. I'll see you in the next one.